When it comes to assists, traction control is arguably the most frustrating to master. It's an element of driving that catches out even the best of drivers when they're trying to push to the absolute limit. Lose your focus in a critical situation, and it can not only lose you positions, but even put you in the wall. However, if you nail each traction zone every lap, you could find yourself at the front and potentially taking that checkered flag first. So here at Veloce, we are going to be giving you a list of tips to race on F1 2020 without traction control. Before we get into the video, which assist do you struggle to turn off? Answer in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more F1 2020 tips. Tip 1, background. Before we teach you how to drive without traction control, it's worth knowing what the assist actually means and how it impacts the handling of a car. Traction control is an electronic driver aid that is designed to prevent loss of traction between the wheels and the road surface. Sensors located within the wheels notify the car's onboard computer that the amount of throttle input from the driver is exceeding the limit of grip available between the tires and the road surface. This computer in turn electronically limits the amount of throttle the driver can use by either closing the throttle or applying the brakes to one or more of the wheels. Typically, this system is found on most road cars as a safety feature, but also some racing cars for a performance advantage. So how does this all relate to a Formula 1 car? Well, it doesn't. Formula 1 cars haven't had traction control since 2007, in fact. But, like most racing games, Codemasters have kindly implemented the driving assist so that people of all skill levels can play the game. However, this only provides the ability of a low-skill racer to drive around a track without spinning. If you want to be setting purple lap times, you will have to learn to drive without traction control. Tip 2, hidden speed. Okay, so we have an idea of what traction control is. Now, why is it slowing you down? When driving with traction control enabled, you are able to plant the throttle to 100% on every corner exit and never have any oversteer. This is because, as we discussed, even though your throttle input is at 100%, the game is actively limiting the amount of power going to the rear wheels to stop you from spinning. However, the game doesn't limit your throttle to the edge of grip, meaning the system overcompensates, as otherwise everyone would use traction control to gain the most amount of advantage possible. This does mean, though, that there is both grip and lap time left on the table, and you wouldn't be a racing driver if you didn't want to go as fast as possible. Once you've turned the assist off, you are now going to have to be very careful with power application on corner exits. Tip 3, massage that throttle. So how do you make the most of a traction zone? During a typical mid to slow speed corner, slowly start to introduce the throttle to around 10 or 20% at the apex. As the car rolls further past the apex and into the traction zone, introduce more throttle as the car begins to straighten. Remember, straightening the car will limit the chance of spinning off the circuit and allow you to get on the throttle earlier and harder. Once speed is built on corner exit, the downforce and therefore grip on the rear tires will increase, giving you confidence to open the throttle all the way to 100%. This level of attention is not required as much during high-speed corners because, as we briefly mentioned, the downforce on the car is still present on corner exit, meaning the rear tires have the grip to cope. This doesn't necessarily mean you'll never spin after a high-speed corner. Watch out for those bumps, tire degradation, or even the odd drop of rain. Tip 4, other ways to help. Modulating the throttle is the king of stopping yourself from spinning. However, it isn't the only thing you can do to help. Those of you that use manual gears will have heard of the term short shifting. This is the act of deliberately shifting up your gears early and not making the most of your engine's rev range. Doing this dulls the power and torque being put through the rear wheels, but still allowing you to build speed. As the downforce increases once again, you, the driver, will have more confidence to put down the power. This technique is especially useful when battling another car on alternate areas of the track, when using curbs, driving in the wet, or managing high tire wear. Differential is another thing you can play with in the car setup to impact the traction of your car. A higher differential setting means the rear axle is locked, giving the car better drive out the corner, but a higher chance of spinning the car. A lower differential means the rear axle is unlocked, giving the car worse drive out of the corners, but a lower chance of spinning the car. This is something we will go into more detail in a future video. Tip 5, equipment. For the final tip, we want to talk about equipment, and before we restart the age-old war between the wheel and pad users, hear us out. Those pad users that are wanting to make the leap of faith to buy a wheel but need a reason to do so, here's one reason why you might actually want to. When a pad user drives out of a traction zone, they rely purely on visual and audio aids to know if the car is spinning. However, a wheel user can feel if the car is feeling light and is about to spin before they can even see that they are spinning. This is a benefit of driving with a wheel with force feedback. You can feel the behavior of the car constantly, giving you a large advantage over the pad counterparts. That extra advantage could mean the difference between being a hero and catching a slide or being a zero and burying it in the hedge. And that is it. Those are our 5 top tips for driving without traction control. And another episode of Esports 101 partnered with Playseat. Make sure you are subscribed to the Veloce Esports YouTube channel. But other than that, I've been Haydon from Veloce, and we'll see you next time.